Today we are talking about this Honda Civic. I just picked this up from BCA over in Crawley. Really nice car, one owner, super low mileage, a really nice gem to be picking out from the car auctions.
Today's video is about getting this car retail ready, but more importantly, how much profit can we make from buying a cheap and easy car from the car auction.
Without further ado, let me give you a walk around of the car, show you the interior, show you the exterior, and then we're going to head down to the mechanics because there are a couple of things which we need to address on this car. So stay tuned, it's going to be a good one. So let me give you a walk around of the Honda Civic and show you the current condition the car is in. It's actually really nice. It's a one owner car, low mileage as well. I think it's around 66,000 miles, I'm going to say. So it's low miles for the age, well looked after, being a one owner car. The paintwork isn't too bad. You have got some imperfections across the car. The most of it is on the passenger side, which I'm going to show you now. So as we go down on this side, you can see on the rear door, we've got a bit of a scuff just on the corner of that door. And then going down over on the passenger door, you can see we have got a bit of a horrible scrape along that lower side of the door, which I might be able to sand some of this down and then potentially polish it up to make it a lot better. Hopefully get rid of all of it, but that is the worst thing on this car. But in all honesty, it's a one owner. It's a very low mileage Honda Civic. Still got the original dealer plates both on the front and the rear, so you know it is a completely honest car and not had any major crash damages or anything like that in its life. And I must say, it is quite a trendy looking car. This shape when it came out, I remember, did look very, very out of place and futuristic, but now for something which is 17 years old, it still looks pretty damn good. Let me show you the interior. So, moving into the interior, having a quick glance on first impressions, the condition of this car is actually very, very good. Yes, the floor is very dirty in this side, but it's nothing which a valet won't be able to fix. And a lot of this happens over at BCA once it gets into their hands, and you know, there isn't any mats because they put them into the boot. So judging by the fact that the passenger side is immaculate, I'm probably going to say this was not from the owner. This most likely happened at the car auction. But the condition of the seats as well, I really like this suede type of upholstery. Looks very, very nice. And it's held up pretty well over the years. Even the passenger seat as well, you can see the actual condition with it. Not much wear at all, if any, to be honest. So condition-wise, it is looking very, very nice. Let's check the rears out. Even the door handle, look how funky that is. So, rear seats, very, very clean. Nothing really out of the ordinary at all. Nowhere, just needs a good hoover to bring it up to a better standard. Carpets down here look as new, no wear at all. So it's pretty safe to say this car has been well looked after. But even just from here, look at this angle. Such a nice looking interior with that suede upholstery. Even on the back of the front seats, you can see a bit of that upholstery. It is a nice place to be. But that just gives you a quick overview of how this Honda Civic is looking in its current form. And there are a couple of things which we do need to address and get done to this car. So let's jump in the Honda now. We're going to take it for a little drive, head down to the mechanics, and then we're going to discuss exactly what needs doing to this car, how we're going to add some value to it, and fingers crossed, make a fantastic profit on this car. So let's jump in the car now. So let's get into the first drive of this Honda Civic. Well, not quite the first drive, because obviously I did pick up this car from Crawley yesterday, but the first drive with you guys on the channel. So I'll give you a quick overview of getting this car back. So I would have driven it about 50 miles to get it back home. This car drives phenomenal. It's such a nice, smooth car to drive, and genuinely, you don't feel like you're driving a car which is 17 years old. The clutch is great. The suspension is fantastic. The steering is nice and light. It just feels so effortless to drive. So my first impression of driving this car back home was that this is a 10 out of 10 car the way it drives. Now, a bit of info on this car to why it does drive so nice. When I saw this car pop up in the auction, it was a one owner with 16 services in the book. And I think the last service was just recently done, maybe 1,000 miles ago. And when you do see a one owner Honda, you get a bit of an idea of who may have owned this car. So I had a good feeling about this specific car. The bodywork did have a few marks on there, but it's 17 years old. That's expected. But the interior was very, very clean. And as you've seen when I've just given you a good run through, you could see that the condition of the upholstery, everything was very, very nice. It just needs a little bit of a clean around certain parts, more so like on the door cards, but that is because of the suede Alcantara material. Getting in and out of a car every day for 17 years, it's going to absorb some dirt and grime. So completely expected, not a big issue. Now, I mentioned that we're going to potentially have to address a couple of things on this car. So the MOT on this car is quite short. I think it expires coming up in October. So that's where we're heading now, is to the mechanics to get a health check done on this car, get an MOT put on it. So if it needs anything doing to it, we'll get it addressed, we'll get it rectified, but we can't sell this car with a very short MOT because it's got so much going for it, being one owner with that comprehensive service history, low mileage as well. So we need to complement all of that by getting a fresh MOT put on this car. And of course, as I always say, you don't want to sell a car with a short MOT because it's only going to give you potential headache in the long run after you sell it. The reason being, if the car's not fit for the road, the customer buys the car off you and a couple of weeks or a month down the line they run into issues, they're going to call you. So you'd rather prep the car to a good standard beforehand, meaning you're protecting yourself, you're protecting the customer, and you're just making the whole sales experience a better one for both the customer and for yourself. We don't need to get it serviced as it was recently done. So that's the plan of action now. Let's get on down there. Let's see what's going to happen with this Honda. And I'm going to catch up with you after the MOT, where we will get into the specifics about this car and we will talk about money on how much this car costs, what I'm going to sell it for, and what kind of profit is there to be made on this type of car. So stay tuned, guys. So we're back from getting the car MOT'd. I've actually also got the car washed as well, but I'll show you all of that very, very shortly. In regard to the MOT and the inspection on the car, it's all good news. No issues with this car, no advisories at all. It was expected, to be honest, because it is such a clean car, one owner, well-maintained example, so I'm not surprised that it is advisory free. But as I said, the car has been cleaned, but we still need to try and remove that scratch which is on the passenger door. So let's head back, get the sandpaper out and get the machine polisher out and see what we can do with getting those scratches removed from the paintwork. So let's get on with that.
I'm not sure how this has happened, but I'm gonna give it my best shot to remove as much as I possibly can. This is a DIY, so take notes as this is something you could do as well. I first started with some compound on my DA to see if it would be enough without having to sand it down, but as expected, it didn't do much. So I grabbed some wet and dry 1500 and began to rub down the area which needed attention, but be careful not to go too deep as you're gonna have another problem on your hands if you do so. Now I'm starting to see an improvement, but I thought let's just give it one more sand down and compound to get it looking as good as possible. And look at that, not perfect, but so much better than before.
So I'm going to give you a quick walk around now on the exterior since I've got the car washed. Nothing too drastic to see. Of course, we just went with a basic wash on the exterior. On the inside, simple in and out job, but I got them to scrub down a couple of things, especially on the door cards. So I'll show you that in a second, but you get a nice idea of how the car is looking now after it's been cleaned, but more importantly, how it is looking after I've polished up that part of the door. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. I'm thinking to even just have one more pass over it just to get rid of any little marks still on there, but you can see it is looking so much better than what it was before. Just a little bit of time and effort with some sandpaper and a machine polisher makes a big difference in removing certain defects on the paintwork. So really happy with how that's turned out. But that is the exterior on the Honda Civic. It is looking very nice, but let me show you the interior. So having a quick look on the interior, getting a basic in and out job done has made a nice difference. The seats were already in pretty good condition. Down here, we just did need to give things a little bit of a scrub. Like I mentioned, I have got the mats which are in the back. I've just left the driver's one out because I need it to dry. But what I did get done was on these door cards. Now, I don't know if you remember, there was a bit of dirt and debris that was caught up in this material. So I got this cleaned, got it scrubbed down, and you can see it is looking a lot better. But overall in the interior, there wasn't anything too drastic that needed to get done. You can see all around the center console, everything was already in very good condition. Didn't need to spend a lot of time or money prepping this car and getting it retail ready, especially on the interior. Let me show you the rears as well. Now again, the rears, nothing too drastic to see. It already was in very good condition. Very simple clean. Getting it hoovered down and just getting the plastics wiped down has done enough to bring this car up to a very good standard. As you can see, we've got the mats put into the back, all in very good condition. The back of the seats, the headlining, everything is looking very nice. So that covers the interior and the exterior and how the car is looking in its current state, ready for sale. So let's get into all of that now and talk about exactly how much this car has cost me and what type of profit we can make on this car. So let's get on with that now.
So the hammer price of this car was £1,300. However, there are fees on top which meant the real total was actually £1,601.96. On top of this, travel was £25, the MOT was £40, the car wash was £20 and getting it advertised was £30, which meant the total cost of this car ready for sale was actually £1,716.96. But how much profit did I actually make? Well, I sold the car for a very reasonable £2,995 as the market has slowed down. However, it still meant I made a pre-tax profit of £1,278.04, which is great for an easy car with minimal work needed. So overall, a good day in the office. And on that positive note, I'm going to end this one here. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And I'm going to see you next week at 6 p.m. Take care, guys.